Hello, guys. Howdy. What's up? Very happy to come on live tonight because there's a couple of things that came up this week. First of all, I want to say, hey guys. Interesting times we're in. Sydney has been extended for lockdown. It's been interesting times to get to know each other's neighbors, keep the routine going, which is quite hard when it's probably about what, a third or fourth lockdown? I don't know. I've stopped counting. But this is me, Anna Likoa, your men's dating coach, relationship coach. I'm looking at normalizing talking to women and taking them out. And in this session, we'll be talking about locking her down in lockdown. I am not the genius that came up with this kind of juicy title. It was actually a very special title that one guy gave to the men who are proposing and getting rings for their partners. And it's a place called Armand's Jewelry, and you can find him on Instagram. I'd love to follow him for the character. And but the funniest part is that it's a title that's very important because the guys that have followed me have talked to me about. I think I'm just gonna take this out for a moment. Bluetooth headpiece. They have spoken to me about what the whole point of going out on a date, getting into a relationship right now is, especially when your mental health is at risk. That is actually completely up to you. You kind of have to make a decision for yourself that you're going to pay attention to yourself first. But that said, there's so many people that are trying to connect online and offline right now that it's important to actually pay attention to these things and make a move. And I know at least a couple of them who have actually made a move. One has had at least 2 dates by now that quickly got pretty intimate. And another guy who told me that he's also secured 2 dates for post-lockdown period. Good on them. Slow clap, guys, slow clap. Um, so locking her down in lockdown really just means that when you are up to the task of going after a woman, it means that you're also in the task of looking after yourself. You're in your masculine energy. You know what you want. You know what you're going to plan. You know what you are going to say. You want to have, you choose to have love in your life. Which is why I would say that when it comes to your energies as a man, going after a woman at any point in time is a big deal. But the funniest part is this there's like a myth going around that in lockdown you can't do much, there's a lot of limits. Yes, there's a lot of limits. It's imposed by the political situation, by the government, etc., in light of the health crisis that's been going on since 2020. Now it's 2021, and we have a whole bunch of people, men and women, that are making better decisions for themselves, which I think is probably one of the coolest things about the lockdown, is that people are forced to make better decisions for themselves. And so you're looking at life. I've observed that life just keeps going. You've got your renovations going, you've got your families going, there's engagements, there's pregnancies, there's babies, everything is happening. So as you can see, the lockdown actually doesn't mean much. It just means that people are forced to be inside and make better decisions for their lives. Not, I haven't had not one friend that actually did something in the end, such as travel, have a family, get engaged, get a puppy, all sorts of stuff. I see that I got a comment here and I'm trying to get around to it. So that's how it basically works. And when you realize that these things are ongoing, life does not stop, basically. Why can't I see this comment? This is so annoying. Once in a while, Facebook will make sense. I'll get around to it. So when you're looking at these things and you're looking at how everything is working, you gotta, as a resourceful man in your masculinity, you actually already know what you want, you know which resources to take. I have had one guy who last year actually tried to ask his date out on um, I think it was Zoom actually. So that was a lot of fun. He had that going on, and he basically just said, "Oh, this is what guys are like. This is what women are like." And I just sort of burst his bubble and I said, "You can write all the essays you want online, but if a girl's getting irritated with you after two chats, it means that you haven't made your intention clear enough. The feminine is not here to." I was going to say be a servant, be your slave. That was a bit satirical. But the feminine is not really here to sort of guide you into anything until you give them that picture of what they're in. You are the safe space. You're that masculine safe space for them. And so I'm pretty sure he took my affirmations sheet and he actually asked this girl out probably through video. So that was a lot of fun. And I gotta tell you guys that when things come up, when you feel that there's a certain limitation, ask yourself why you feel that way. Why do you think that's going on? Because actually there is no limitations. It's just mostly in your mind actually. This is really annoying me, the fact that I can't get, as you can see, I really enjoy accessibility. So when I don't see it, I'll get around to it later. So ask yourself all the time, what is the actual real limit you're looking at? What is the real limitation that you're facing? What are you frustrated with? What are you angry? What are you upset with? Put it all down on a nice little table. Go out into the sunshine, journal your heart away, and then you'll figure it out. And then you'll see what's going on. But until then, you will think that a certain politician, a certain weather pattern, a certain astrological event, what your neighbor just said, how your mother is reacting is going to be the reason why you feel a certain way. It's never the case. It's going to be your reaction to something else. So, locking her down in lockdown is such a fun topic because it deals with your mindset, your routine, how you view women, and what you are actually going to do about the situation where you think you've got a limit. So that's a ton of fun. It's a ton of fun when you clarify what's actually going on. So you can give me any example, guys, of how you view this and, how things work for you and how you make things work for yourself. Because at the end of the day, you got to be resourceful and you got to pay attention to the things that are around you to a point where they're supposed to alert you to troubles, but also tell you where you could kind of help out. And then there's so many other key things like if something is bothering you, you just look into that. You look into that and figure out why you feel a certain way. And so when you are in a situation where you're like, oh well, I can't go anywhere, is that really true? You can go actually everywhere. I'm sorry for those who are in apartments and don't have parks and beaches nearby, that would suck. But you can still do something around that. You can still make a call, you can go online, you can make yourself a healthy mindset that can get you out of any catastrophe. In fact, you take this as the opportunity to get out of that. I had a girlfriend who was in Germany at some point going, oh, I think it was in Germany. No, I think it was in Italy. I remember very well. We were sweating on FaceTime while she was sweating. I was freezing my butt off. And she was like, how are you not stressed and how are you not anxious? And I just sort of went, you know, there's, I said, I'm very opportunistic and I take advantage out of situations. So that's a lot of fun. And it tells you where you are as well in terms of so many things. Guys, I see the comments, but for some reason they're just not coming up. Don't know why. So yeah, you can always DM me your questions, by the way, they'll come up. So yeah, I'm very opportunistic and I go, okay, well, what can I do in this time period? Because being the ambivert that I am, I have my very outgoing side where I find it no problem to go talk to some person out on the streets. But then I also have this other bit where if you give me a book that's really good, I'm just going to be at it for a while until I get bored or lose interest or whatever. But if I'm very intrigued, I'm not going to come out of that library for a while. So that's the way I work. And it works for me because I figure out what situation could benefit more. And then if you think about the ways that you can actually help your community as well, Like, that's the best thing ever. When you're helping out the community and when you are figuring out who needs what kind of help and how you feel when you're helping them out, because you don't necessarily have to help just about everyone. You can just figure out what you enjoy and how people react to you. You have a choice in just about everything. So when it comes down to that, you know that lockdowns are just nothing but another opportunity to figure out what you want in the next 3 to 6 months. I'm not even joking. This is literally why renovations and house renewals and engagements and parties and I don't know what, that's how they happen, because people just go, right, this is how I want to live now. And I'm not any different either. I'm like, right, what do I actually want now? What is my essentials? Like, I want family, the house, the routine, the lifestyle, I want my friends around, all that kind of stuff. So that's a really cool part to go with. And that is basically how you can make a commitment as well. Now, when it comes to dates, etc., I like to make the point that you have 2 weeks. You have a 2 week time frame. If you just said hello to a girl, you make your intentions clear ASAP. Once you've got that conversation going and everyone is cool with everyone else, you say, this is the direction I'm going into, and then see what happens. She's either going to say yes or she's going to say no. You actually have nothing to lose at that point. In fact, that's what, if you looked into my stories, one guy said, I learned that I had nothing to lose, which is the whole point of these exercises. So, you make your intentions known. You got a 2 week window, and that's where you go off with it. Then you make your ideas, you state what you want, you get into the feedback form, you check out how the feminine is with you, and you just enjoy and you experiment and you go with that. And it doesn't matter if it's lockdown overseas, if you're an astronaut traveling with Richard Branson, and she's in the zoo, or someone's gone on some kind of a mission, or someone, is serving the church, or, an orphanage in Cambodia, whatever it is, you can make it work. Especially when you've got an agreement and you've got a bit of a plan going. And you can do whatever you want with that. You don't have to look at who, Joe Blow on the street has done his relationship, or how your nonna and nono kept on going with their 50-year relationship either. Everyone's got a different story. You just need to make up your own as you go. And, it's to your satisfaction, happiness, and hers. So there's no real, if you look at a timeline and it really jars you, like say something you've found on BuzzFeed, that's cool. You don't agree with mainstream. That's fine. So that is more or less the lockdown thing. Now, when it comes to life beyond the crazy shutter gates, well, that's a bit of a dystopia that no one's that no one can figure out. I remember going into a cafe after they actually lifted a couple of restrictions. I think it was July 2020, and I'll never forget the fact that the newspapers were not on the shelves, the fact that we had to sign in if we wanted a coffee to have in. Bearing in mind, I used to do all my writing at cafes, and then all of a sudden I couldn't do it anymore. Actually, it wasn't even that. It was because of the fact that I was going into my own spiritual journey and I just could not be just anywhere around people. And where I live, there's a lot of seniors around, there's a lot of senior citizens. So it's an interesting story to tell. You kind of need to figure out how you are in the grand scheme of things. You have to check in with yourself all the time. And as you do that, you get better at things. So I will be replying to these comments in a bit. Really don't get why they don't pop up. Usually I see them right here. But yeah, if you guys have a question or you wanted to share something that's been happening in the last month or last week or even today, go for it. Love to connect with you for a couple of minutes before I head off. And tell you guys that Female Advantage is on sale, extended until this weekend. It is all of the resources you need to think about your networks, your energies, what you want in your life, how a woman can actually be helpful in your life. Because I know that there's a lot of fears around how you can be around a woman and how a woman can be around you, but also what you could be doing with that lady. So that's a lot of fun. And I make it very clear that once you get beyond the fact that you are only judging yourself so much and you're only reflecting on yourself so much, that is when you need to go stop. What is this actually doing? How's this helping me? And then you change a little story in your head. You change a little belief. And that's exactly what you get in Female Advantage. You find out how you can actually attract, keep, and come into union with that lady or with the ladies. If in fact you find that you get the opposite of what's promised in attract, keep, and come into union, as well as keep, I've vlogged why there might be. So you guys can DM me for the link to that YouTube because it will be very insightful for you. Because once again, this is not a competition. This is not about getting all the ladies' attentions. This is about being you. This is about you establishing yourself in the community and in your way of being a couple with your lady and being yourself. So that's a lot of fun. And for any other tasters and trainers, you can go and get some of the freebies from my website as well under coaching in the link in bio. And you can definitely Google up vibrancelifecoach.com. Fun stuff. And that's basically it, unless anyone's got a little different comment to make. Love you guys. You're gonna use all the affirmations that I've taught you already, and you are going to let me know how everything goes. And I will see you next time.